So I have the honor of introducing our guest speaker who I know a little something about. So I see what's on this paper, but let me tell you what I know about this woman. So Reverend Dr. Sherry F. McCreary is my mom. And I am so grateful to have her as my mom. So I'm going to lead with that in her bio. I would not be who I am if she was not who she is. And so I am so grateful for her love and her support and her presence and her truth telling and her authenticity and her realness. I am so grateful, so grateful. Happy Mother's Day. So let me tell you some other stuff about Reverend Sherry. So Reverend Sherry is an inspirational speaker, which you will hear in a moment. She loves spiritual counseling and has done it for many, many years. She is a forgiveness coach. That is her area of expertise. She is an incredible teacher and workshop facilitator who you will experience more in this community. And more than 100 years ago, she introduced us to New Thought and religious science. I won't put any numbers on things, so I'll just say 100 years ago. She keeps that age tight like a vault. So 100 years ago, when Noah was a baby, she found religious science. And I was just so grateful to be on the journey of growing up in this teaching, growing up in science of mind. So my mom found religious science many, many years ago. I watched her take classes and classes and classes. I watched her change her life. And I think one of the things that kept me in this teaching, because what I see a lot is kids will grow up in this teaching and they leave it, right, after some time. But I think what has kept me here is like I literally saw my mom transform her life, right? Transform her life from being a divorcee, going to law school, becoming a lawyer. She was a lawyer, still is, for many, many years. And just watching her journey to becoming a minister, and then she was a minister and a lawyer, but really watching her put these principles to use, right? And walking her talk, not perfectly, but walking her talk. And so because I saw this, and this is what I witnessed, it brought me closer and closer into this teaching because I know these are tools that help you change your life no matter what's happening in the world. I know it because I've seen it and I've grown up with that. And so Reverend Sherry, in addition to being a lawyer, she is thrice ordained. Okay, she's an ordained interfaith minister, an ordained spiritualist minister, and an ordained religious science minister. But religious science is where she lives. And so I am just so grateful to have this amazing woman in my life. It is just amazing. As a child, I used to always say to her, I let you be the mom this time. Because sometimes I'm a little bossy. You may not know that about me. You may not have noticed, but sometimes I can be a little bossy. But I let her be the mom this time, and I am so grateful for that. My life is incredibly blessed by her presence. And so, Mama, please come up and give us our Sunday talk for Mother's Day. Reverend Dr. Sherry F. McCreary.
Thank you, Sarah. Who on earth can talk after that? How can I speak after that? Thank you so much, Cheryl. I love you madly. Yes, thank you. Thank you. I love you, Jim. I love you all. Thank you all so much. Let's take a deep breath together. Mm. Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers and the mother figures, to all of us who mother, who nurture, who care, who support, who teach, who protect, who guide, who direct. Happy Mother's Day to us all. Yes. Let's take another breath together because I'm trying to figure out what the talk is right now. Because it just went on by. The theme this month is flourishing. Flourishing. to thrive, to grow, to expand, to prosper. That's what we see happening before our eyes right here in this community. And that's what we are all thriving for, we are all striving for and thriving for is to prosper, to flourish, to grow, to expand. I just finished up the 4T prosperity class, and there were so many reports of prosperity, of thriving, of flourishing from some of the participants in the class that it was just wonderful. And what I know is that prosperity is our birthright. Flourishing is our birthright. Thriving is our birthright. It's up to us to do it. It's up to us. It's already here for us right here and right now. And so there are things that we have to do in order to flourish. And last week, Reverend Cheryl talked about being selfish. And this week, the topic that she selected is be quiet. And since this is Mother's Day, I kind of chuckle at that because that's something that we hear mothers say. When we're mothering, we get to say be quiet a lot. And be quiet has a lot of different contexts. And it can, hi Marianne, didn't see you there. So, there are a lot of different contexts for be quiet. It can be a very disrespectful way that we tell people to be quiet or tell kids or whoever to be quiet, or there can be a harsh way, it can be a loving way, it can be a way really pleading with somebody to be quiet. There's so many things that happen when we talk about being quiet, but that's not the way we're going to talk about it today. What we want to learn to do is to be quiet within ourselves, to be quiet, to have a quiet spirit, to be quiet so that we can be mindful and aware of that one presence, that one power that is always right where we are, that is always guiding us, that is always directing us, that is our very life. I'm going to invite you over and over, as those of you who know me know, I'll invite you to take a breath with me as we go along. A few years ago, several years ago, I lived in this area, and I had been going through some difficult times, arguments, back and forth, tussling, not physically, but energetically tussling with someone that I was working with. And every day there was a back and forth. Every day there was an argument. Every day there was something going on. And I was constantly calling my backup singers, my sister and my daughter, telling them, they lived in Ohio, I lived in California, and I was constantly telling them what was going on. And every day I came home with a new episode for that day. And if I didn't call them soon enough, one of them called me and said, "What happened today? What did she say? What did you say? And then what did she say?" So I went through that, and then at the same time, I was going through the same kind of situation with a friend of mine, and we had a parting of the ways, and something was going on, so that I was then calling double time to tell them about that, and and they were calling me to find out what did I say, what did she say. And so it got to be, just this whole thing that we were going through all the time. It became a part of our consciousness, it became a part of our way of being in the world, in this place of conflict, in this place of drama, in this place of separation. And I decided that what I needed to do was to make my bedroom my sanctuary, because I needed to calm down. I needed to be still. I needed to get out of this place of separation and move into this place of oneness, which is what I knew. But I wasn't acting like I knew it. I wasn't living it like I was knowing it. So I decided that what I needed to do was to make my bedroom a sanctuary. So I was going to buy a new comforter and drapes and all that to match for my bedroom. And I was headed to Macy's to get this comforter. And on the way there, I saw the Ross store. I had never been in a Ross store before. So I thought, well, I think I'll just go in Ross. But I didn't think that that's the message. I got to go to Ross. And I said, no, I'm going to Macy's. That's sort of how I dealt with messages a lot. When Spirit would tell me to do this, I'm like, no, I think I'm going to do this. I have the scars to prove that that's not a good idea. And I've stopped doing that. However, this particular day, for some reason, I decided, okay, I'm going to Ross. And I didn't know whether they sold comforters or not, but I was going to go and see. So when I got into the store, I asked someone, one of the people who worked there, as soon as I got in, did they have comforters? And she said, yes, it's in the back of the store. So I started to the back of the store, and they were bringing all these things out. They were bringing not comforters, but they were bringing artwork and all kinds of supplies and things out of the store. Out of the back of the store. And when I got back to where they had put one right in front of the door, there was a sign, a wall hanging with writing on it, that I walked over to see what it said because I couldn't believe what it said. It said, "Be still and know that I am God." And saying, Ross? Be still and know that I am God. I knew instantly that that was no coincidence. I knew instantly that this is why I was in Ross. I knew instantly that there was nothing else for me to get at Ross but this one wall piece that I saw. It was a small piece, but it was something that I could hang on the wall. But I was struck by that. That was one of the most profound experiences I've had in my life when I saw that, be still and know that I am God. And I knew that that was a message for me. Be still and know that I am God. And so I bought the little thing and I went back home. I never did go to Macy's to get the comforter. I didn't even ask for a comforter in Ross, because the message in this be still and know that I am God is I am your comforter. I am your comforter. Be still and know that truth. Be still and stand in that truth. I can't, even now, it takes my breath away sometimes when I think about that, the profundity of that. And so I got that little wall hanging and I took it home and I put it on the wall in my bedroom so that as soon as I opened my eyes in the morning, I looked right at it. It was right over to the right. I looked right over it and it just said, be still and know that I am God. And my life changed after that in many ways. I stopped all that drama that was going on so that when that evening when my backup singers called, because I didn't call them, to find out what happened, and I had gone to work because the person that I was having difficulties with at work, I apologized to her. And I owned my part in the difficulties we were having. And I waited for her to own her part in it. And she didn't. She didn't. But you know what? I had to take a deep breath and say, that's okay. That's okay, because her saying I was wrong had nothing to do with me. This was about me saying, I was wrong in this. Please forgive me. And so when I got home that evening, my backup singers called me one by one, and they wanted to know what happened. And I said, well, nothing, because I decided to let this go. I asked for her forgiveness, and they were going, what? That's all? Yep, that's all. That's all. It's over. It's done. But you know what I came to realize was that when we get caught up in this drama, when we get caught up in this sense of separation, we will find a whole bunch of folks who will be there with us. We can get a lot of backup singers. We can get a lot of cohorts. We can get a lot of people who will agree with us, who will be there with us, who want to hear the story. And we'll tell the story over and over and over again. But you know what? When we get into that place of oneness, when we get into that place of letting go of the drama, when we get into that place of letting go of separation, when we get into that place of recognizing that one power and that one presence of which we are one, with which we are one, in whom we are one, when we get into that place of knowing all this and living that, we don't have quite as many people who want to hang out. Some people begin to fall away because it's not as exciting. It's not as dramatic. As Cheryl and I say, it's not as dramatical. That's one of our favorites. It's not as dramatical as to be walking the straight and narrow, so to speak, or to be in a place of oneness, to be in a place of love, to be in a place of unity, and to recognize the power and the presence of God everywhere we go and in everyone we meet. That's not nearly as exciting, but oh my gosh, is it rewarding? Is it rewarding? And so I tell you this story because, as I said, the topic is be quiet. We have to be quiet and to be still, which is being quiet. To know, be quiet, be still, and know that I am God. We have to be still to hear the voice of God. We have to be still to see the actions of God. We have to be still to know that God is everywhere present. We have to be still. We have to be in that place of openness and availability to know the truth and to know the truth of our oneness, to know the truth of our connection. We have to be still because there's so much in the world that pulls us. There's so much that can be attractive. There's so much that can be distractions for us. And we have to get to the point where we can learn to decline distractions. We can decline the distraction of worry, decline the distraction of anxiety, decline the distraction of fear, decline the distraction of envy and jealousy and all that stuff in which our hearts get caught over and over again. And just take a deep breath and return to our center, to return to that place where God resides, to that place where all we have to do is take a deep breath and just let stuff go. And we can move into that place of oneness. We can move into that place of knowing. We can move into the place of being still and knowing that I am God. This is where we want to live. This is where we want to be always. And because there is so much going on, because we are spiritual beings having a human experience, we are living in these human bodies, we do have times when we pop out of that place of center. We do have times where we forget. We have times when we forget who we are. And all we need to do is take a breath and remember who we are. Take a breath and return unto our center. And that's something that we have to do over and over and over again. Howard Thurman talks of how good it is to center down. He writes that essay, how good it is to center down. He says, the streets of our minds seethe with endless traffic. The streets of our minds seethe with endless traffic. The streets of our minds seethe with endless traffic. Seethe with endless traffic. How good it is, he says, to center down, to sit quietly and watch oneself go by. He says that after the line with the streets of our minds seethe with endless traffic, he talks about the noisy clashings and the noisy silence that goes on within us. But there is within us also that part of us that thirsts and hungers for the still moment and the resting lull. That part that wants us to come home to ourselves, that wants us to come home to that one power, to that one presence, to that one being in which we live and move and have our being. And so we can only do that, though, when we get quiet. We can only do that when we let go of the stuff. We can only do that when we let go of the drama. We can only do that when we return over and over and over again unto God. And that's something that we have to do on a daily basis, on a moment-by-moment basis, returning unto God. We do that with our spiritual practice. We do that in walking with our caring for ourselves. We do that with our reminders to ourselves. We do that with the regular routine. We do that as we interact with each other. We learn how to be quiet, how to be still, and to know that I am God. And we have to have something that we really believe in. We have to have something that we know to be true. We have to have something that we know works. And the one thing we have is this teaching. This is a teaching of personal responsibility. We can't blame it on God in the sky. We can't blame it on the neighbors. We can't blame it on our kids. We can't blame it on our parents, on our ancestors, or anybody. Sorry. We just can't. Because it's up to us. It's up to us. It's up to us to change our lives. It's up to us to flourish if that's what we want to do. It's up to us to grow. It's up to us to forgive. It's up to us to release and let go. It's up to us to expand. It's up to us to decide what it is we want and then be open to allowing it to be revealed in and through our lives. It's up to us to connect with that one source, that one power, that one presence that is always available to us, always at the door knocking, waiting for us to recognize it, to open that door. It's up to us to engage in practice. It's up to us to do all these things. We have free will. We don't have to. But our lives are so much better, so much richer when we do. The things that we want are the things we need to focus on. The things that we don't want, we need to let those fall away, fall by the wayside. The things that we want, we have to focus on and not allow the how to determine our what. Not allow the how to determine our what. We decide what it is we want. We connect with the source of our being. We connect with the source of all, and then we allow it to be brought through because the source knows how. Source knows how to bring it through. I have to share another story with you. I have a friend here today, and I asked her if it was okay if I shared that story with her. Years ago, when we met, she had several miscarriages, and she had one daughter, and she wanted another child, and she had several miscarriages. And so we prayed about it, and I suggested that she set up a nursery in her home. And then we were going to meet in the nursery, and we were going to pray about this baby that she wanted. We were going to pray this baby in. We were going to open up, because the point was to know that she wanted another child. How she was going to get that child was up to Source. So for weeks, I don't know how long we went through this process, but it was weeks, months, a long time, that every week we got together and we prayed in this room, we visioned in this room, she decorated this room like a nursery. Everything for the baby was there. And meanwhile, I moved back to Ohio, and she stayed in California. And she called me one day and said that she had received a call from an agency, I think it was, a friend or someone who let her know that there was a young woman giving birth in a hospital and was wanting to let the child be up for adoption. And we're looking for adoptive parents for this baby. And she thought that this would be a good match for my friend and her husband. And so they went to the hospital, and she was able to be there when the baby was born. She was able to be there when the baby came through. She was able to be there and to take this baby home with her into the nursery that we had prayed in for so long, into the room that we didn't know how this baby was going to get in there. We didn't know where it was going to come from. But one thing I knew for sure, there was going to be a baby here, because this is what we were asking for. This is what we were praying for. This is what we were knowing. This is what we were seeing. This is what we were visioning about. He's 17 years old today. He's 17 years old today. He was a joy. He was a joy. He was so delightful when he came through. And there's been a relationship between the birth mother and the adoptive parents and the child. This family, they are a family. They are a family of love. They are a family of oneness. They are a family of God. This is what happens when we are quiet. This is what happens when we can be still and know. Be still and know that I am God. Because God knows. God knows it all. Already knows. Already knows. And so I just wanted to share that with you because that was not a part of what I was going to talk about today. But when I saw her, I thought, be still and know that I am God. Yes. Yes, because this is the way that God works in our lives. But we have to dare to be still. We have to dare to be still. We have to dare to be bold in letting go of the way that things used to be, letting go of the way we've always done things, letting go of the way we've always been in the world, letting go of our false beliefs, letting go of our whatever, our sense of unworthiness, our sense of it's too late, our sense of whatever it is, whatever excuses we make, we got to let those things go. And we got to be willing to say, God, I'm yours. I'm yours. Whatever it is you want to do, whatever it is you want me to do, let me know. And I'm yours. And then we got to trust God as we do that. Because it's a big thing to give up our control. You know, how, for those of us who like to control things. Those of us who like to know exactly when it's going to happen, how it's going to happen, who's going to do it, when they're going to do it, how they're going to do it, and all that. But it's another story altogether to say, you know, I'm trusting God on this. I'm trusting God on this because I know God's got this. I don't have to know how. It took me a long time to learn that. I don't have to know how. All I need to know is the what. And that's how I've lived my life, just walking forward, walking forward, walking forward, walking forward. And that's what I'm inviting you to do. I'm inviting you to walk forward, knowing that God's got this. God's got you, each one of you. God's got each one of us. We are all connected. We're all connected. We all have our own facts. We all have our own facts, the facts of our lives. Yeah, I don't make enough money. I have this physical ailment. My relationship is not working well. My kids are doing whatever. All that good stuff. These are facts. The truth is, God is in the midst. There are all kinds of facts. One truth, God is in the midst of everything. God is in the midst of every situation, every circumstance, every event, everything. So no matter what our issue may be, no matter what our facts may be, God is in the midst. And all we need to do is remember that and to connect with that presence that's always right where we are, always guiding us, always directing us, always nurturing us, always caring for us, always loving us. Sounds like a mother, doesn't it? Yes. Yeah. That one presence, that Father, Mother, God presence, that Mother, Father, God presence is always right where we are, mothering us, encouraging us to mother ourselves, encouraging us to mother each other, to nurture each other, to care for each other, to forgive each other, to love each other. Martin Luther King said that we are all in this together, that we all need to learn to live together as brothers or we will perish together as fools. Yeah. We need to learn to live together as brothers or we will perish together as fools because we're all in this life together. And that's the thing that we need to keep in mind as we walk forward from this place. And this is how not only do we get to flourish, everyone gets to flourish. That's when the world is really working. When everyone gets to flourish, everyone gets to thrive. And that's what we have to want. Anything that we want for ourselves, we have to want it for others. And we have to also know that anything we want to happen to somebody else, we have to be wanting it to happen to us. Because that's the way it works. There's only one life. There's only one power. There's only one presence. There's only one mind. There's only one. And we are all a part of that one. And so I just want us all to keep in mind as we go through this Mother's Day time, as we go through this time of honoring and revering mothers, those who have mothered, those who have nurtured, those who have cared for, those who have supported, those who have guided and directed, whether they were biological mothers or whether they were adoptive mothers or whether they were mothers, heart mothers, whatever, it doesn't matter. And also we have to know that mother is not gender specific. It's not gender specific. A mother is defined as anyone who nurtures, anyone who cares, anyone who supports, anyone who loves. And so we're all mothers. We're all being called upon to be mothers. And so on this 111 years and 1 day anniversary of Mother's Day, Mother's Day was owned by a woman by the name of Anna Maria Jarvis. And she wanted Mother's Day to be a holiday. Well, she wanted there to be a holiday celebrating her own mother. Her mother was she was a social activist and a community organizer during the Civil War. And she did so much help and support of people in the community that her daughter wanted her to be remembered, and she wanted to have a special holiday for her. And she worked for years trying to get a special holiday. And it started in a church of her inviting many women to celebrate her mother and to celebrate the mothers of the world, of that area that they lived in. And she went from there on to start getting people around the country to start to talk to their congressional representatives to see about getting a Sunday in May. And it was her mother's birthday, the second Sunday in May. And her mother's birthday to be a holiday. And lo and behold, it happened in 1914. It happened on May 8th, 1914, that Congress proclaimed that the second Sunday in May would be Mother's Day. And the next day, Woodrow Wilson, who was the president at the time, declared that the second Sunday in May would be a holiday, would be Mother's Day. And then the next day, May 10th, we missed it by a day for it to be that 111 years today, May 10th, 1914, the second Sunday in May became an official holiday, honoring mothers. She kept focused, Anna Jarvis kept focused on what she wanted. She wasn't focused on how it was going to happen. She kept focused on what she wanted. And here we are celebrating Mother's Day this day because she kept focused on what she wanted, and she stayed in that place of being still and knowing, that God was in the midst of it all because she was trusting God through it all. And so here we are. And this is what I'm inviting us to do today as we go through this day particularly, but I'm inviting us to do throughout our lives. Throughout our lives is to be still, be quiet, be in that place of knowing and sensing and feeling God's presence. And we do that through our constant spiritual practice. We do that through our constant spiritual practice. And it starts always, for me, with meditation and prayer. And so that's what I'm asking you to make sure you do. So I'm going to close with Marianne Williamson. She said that when we meditate sometimes, but not always, we tend to think that God helps us sometimes, but not always. When we pray and meditate some days, but not all days, we get to feel the peace of God on some days, but not all days. She says the more we go to God, only when we're in trouble, we tend to think that God is inconsistent, when the inconsistency lies within each of us. The more we go to God, just for God, we build our spiritual musculature, and we become stronger and stronger and stronger as we go forward to meet life's challenges. And so that's what I'm inviting you to do. Make sure that you are in those practices that are allowing you to know that God is right where you are in each and every moment of each and every day. Let's turn within in this moment.